Hi, so today I'm going to go over some of the new version of the APA, the 7th edition, rules for title pages, citations, and references, so you can do your research paper without having to buy the manual if you haven't already. So let's start off with the title page. There's two different parts to a title page in general, two different sections you need to edit. There's the header, and then there's the text on the page. So before you get started, double click into the header of your page, whether you're in a Google Doc or Word, it doesn't matter. And you're going to type your running head in all caps flush on the left side. And unlike past papers you might have done in previous years, you don't write the word running head. And it's not the whole title of your paper either. It should only be maybe 4 or 5 words that summarize the title of your paper. So just pick the important ones out, put them on all caps, and flush to the left. And then the page number starting at 1 on the title page goes on the right. When you click out of the header, you're on line 1 of your page, and you're going to go 4 lines down, and in bold and capitalizing all the words except for the conjunction words like and the. You're going to type the title of your paper. Again, that's in bold and centered. Then you're going to skip a space, and then on separate lines, not bold, you're going to put your name, Culver Stockton College, the name of the course, so my name, and then the due date for the assignment. Keep in mind that everything in your entire paper, including the title page and references and everything, is double spaced with 1-inch margin. So before you get going, it's a good idea just to go ahead and get that set up. And then your font options, you can either do Calibri or Arial in 11 point or Times New Roman in 12 point. All right, so how do you do citations? So we have 3 different types of citations that you can do. Citations are where you cite your sources in the body of your paper. So the references go on their own page at the end. The citations go in the paper itself. So you can have 3 types. You have a narrative citation, a parenthetical citation, or a suggestive citation. Now, if you've watched the video about how to find articles and paraphrase them, you'll know I want you to do 1 paragraph per article. And the reason for that is so that way you don't have to cite every single sentence. So what you can do is I want you to use a narrative citation in the first sentence at the beginning of your paragraph. I want you to do a parenthetical citation at the end of the paragraph, and then you can just do suggestive citations in between. You don't actually have to write the author's last names in the year. So with a narrative citation, so the first sentence of each of your Lit Review paragraphs should start off with the author's last names in the year. Very common mistakes are you include first names or first initials. Make sure, especially if you're copy pasting them for the references, that you're only including the author's last names. And if you have more than one, you need to connect them with A and D. And then the year goes in parentheses. At the end of the paragraph, you're going to do a parenthetical citation followed by the period. So, and when you're doing that, you put both authors' names, and instead of A and D, you're going to put an ampersand. And then after the last author's name, you'll put the comma and then the year, and then you end the parentheses with a period. And then suggestive is just in between. So you don't even have to put their names anymore. You can just say the authors also suggested that blah, blah, blah. Or you could say the researcher or the experimenter if it was an experiment. Now, how does it work in terms of how many names do you write down? If you have 1 or 2 authors, you're going to write those authors' names out every single time you cite that article. If you have 3 or more authors, you're going to do just the first author's last name, followed by the words et al. Et al is just Latin for and everyone else. So it's et al, period, comma, and then the year if you're doing parenthetical. If it's a narrative citation, you're going to do et al, period, no comma, and then the year in parentheses. So tips for beginning writing. When you start writing, you're just going to be taking notes on your articles. And then, like I said at the beginning, you're going to do a citation sandwich. So I want everyone, I'm going to repeat this again because it's important. I want everyone, just for practice sake, I want you to do a narrative citation in the first sentence, a parenthetical citation at the end of every lit review. So you can see a sample lit review paragraph in your APA manual, if you have the new one, on page 265. So here's the new rules for references. And if you're using your manual, this is in, the rules are in chapter 9 and the examples are on page 317 for a journal article. So you're going to put all the author's last names in order, followed by their first initials. And make sure you don't change the order of authorship. That's really important. Keep them in order. They're there for a reason. So here's the kicker. We used to be able to just put a few of them and then put ... Now we have to list all of the authors up to 20. So the only time the rules change is when you have 21 authors. Then the rules change. So if you need help, just ask me about that in one of our Zoom office hour meetings. So then you're going to do the title of the article. Make sure if you're copy pasting the reference from the website or from the library, you edit this. It's almost always wrong. You have to make sure you lowercase a lot of the words in the title. Then is the name of the journal in italics, followed by the volume number in italics and the issue number not in italics. And then a comma and then the page numbers. Then comes the DOI. A DOI is a digital object identifier, and it should now be set up as a hyperlink. So it's okay if it comes out in your paper as like blue and underlined. It's okay. That's normal and accepted nowadays. If your article does not have a DOI hyperlink in what you downloaded, a lot of times you can get it by going back and searching through the database. It'll have it written on there somewhere. If not, you got it off a website somewhere that's not from a library database, you can copy paste the URL. If you got it from the library and it doesn't have a DOI, you don't need to put anything. Just put the page numbers, a period, and you're done. So make sure on your reference page that it's on its own page. People lose really simple, easy points because they continue writing right at the end of their paper. It needs to be on its own page, and the title should be references, not works cited or bibliography. That's MLA. And it should be bold and centered at the top. And then your references should be put in alphabetical order based on the first author. Again, don't change the order of authorship within a single reference. I recommend using page breaks and not just hitting return to get to the next page, because when you upload your document to Canvas, when you just hit return a bunch of times, it makes it go a little wonky, and it changes the spacing of your page so it doesn't look correct. If you insert a page break, it's less likely to do that. The same thing with margins and hanging indents. Your references need to have a hanging indent, and when you don't use the formatting hanging indent procedure, if you just hit return and space over to make a hanging indent by hand, it will edit your margins when you try to upload it to Canvas. So if you need help with this, just let me know during office hours and we can work on it together.